Light machine guns, which is the single dumbest name for any type of gun ever when you actually think about it. Like, no way in hell something that big is light. Just no chance. LMGs have been some of the most iconic guns in zombies since the very beginning, all the way back in World at War. We had the MG42, the Browning, which is what Gary Lineker should have called his autobiography, and finally the FG42. There was also the BAR, but it was awful, so it doesn't make the list. Black Ops 1 had the HK21 and the RPK. Black Ops 2 had the Hammer, the LSAT, and the MG08. Like, there's been a lot of great LMGs and zombies over the years, you know? I think you get the point. With these weapons, you'd think someone like myself, who plays a lot of zombies, must be always striving for one of these guns. Must be my favorite weapons to run. But truthfully, they're just not. Yes, they're good, and yes, they deal good damage, but so do assault rifles. Yes, they have giant magazines, but the reload speeds take an absolute age, even with speed cola in most instances. And not only that, you move at an absolute snail's pace when holding one, which is why in most cases you'll pair an LMG with another gun that has the same qualities but is more practical. Maybe something like an AR that's more of a running gun. Maybe you'll pair it with a wonder weapon or two, so you're just a human tank. But what if you paired two LMGs together? How does that work out? Before we get into today's video, please do drop a like, as it really does help out the channel, and also let me know in the comments what other videos you want to see me do. So first, we of course need a game and a map, and I chose Buried on Black Ops 2. And look, before you start moaning, yes, I could have done this on Black Ops 3 and used what is probably the best LMG to ever grace zombies in the Dingo, but that's just a bit boring, isn't it? So, you know, Black Ops 2 it is. I was torn between doing this on Buried or Origins. Each map has its own good points of interest when it comes to LMGs. Buried has the LSAT wallbuy in spawn, meaning I can actually just get an LMG early rather than banking on my box luck. Origins, however, is the only map that offers the MG08, which is by far the best LMG in the game. But I opted with Buried simply for the fact that my box luck is ass, and it'll probably be impossible for me to get the MG. But if you would like to see this attempted in Origins, let me know in the comments. As I said, Buried offers the LSAT in the spawn room on Buried. There is a catch though, and that being you can only ever access it once. So if you're not familiar, the LSAT sits above the drop down into the main part of Buried. But the platform you need to use to get to the gun, it collapses after about, 2 seconds of you standing on it, meaning if you don't buy the gun in time, well that's that. You either move on or you restart. There is also the issue that the jump to make it onto the platform can also be a bit tricky, but I'm a Giga Chad gamer, so I don't really need to worry about that. I also couldn't really remember how much the wallbuy was. Is it 2 or 3,000 points? Like, who knows? But I knew it wasn't more than 3k, so at the end of round 2, I had more than enough cheddar to buy the gun. We make the jump and I then go to the wallbuy, where it takes a second to actually register that I bought the gun, and at the very last moment, I get the LSAT and head down into Buried. At this point, most people's priority would be to get Leroy out of his cage and just get Jug opened up immediately. Well, the first part of that was the case for me too, but this game, instead of Jug, I went with Speed Cola. Having a gun that takes half a century to reload as your only way of killing zombies isn't the best idea in the world. At the end of round 4, we get power turned on, speed bought, and it's now time for Jug, which I picked up at the beginning of round 6. Now, some of you might hate me for what I'm about to say, but the Unpack-a-Punched LSAT, it's awful. Straight up, it's so bad. And do you want to know what? It's literally just a fancier version of the SMR. Now, this is only when you're shooting at zombies at maybe more than 15 feet, but holy hell, why did no one tell me this thing was straight ass without Pack-a-Punch? Pack-a-Punch does actually correct the accuracy and you can actually shoot the thing straight, but without it, it's so bad. Just why? But thankfully, I wasn't going to have to rely solely on the LSAT, as the Hammer is also available on Buried as well. And you'd have to be an absolute madman to do an LMG only challenge and not use the Hammer. I mean, come on. But you see, there was one glaring problem with that, being that the only way to get the Hammer is to pull it from the box. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that me and the box don't exactly get along. In fact, on my very first spin of the box, I go and pull the Paralyzer. Just, great gun, just not what I wanted, also because I can't use the damn thing. Because I knew it was actually going to be quite some time before I got the hammer, I went and got our boy Leroy some candy so he could lock down the box for me. And my life from this point on basically became a box spinning simulator, as I managed to pull almost anything and everything from the box, including the ray gun Mark II twice and the Paralyzer 4 times. I'm actually surprised I didn't pull a rabbit out of the damn thing. Round 13, I was beginning to run pretty low on ammo, so I decided that now is probably the best time to go and get Pack-a-Punch. We opened up the mansion, and before anything, I grabbed myself some double tap, where I ended up getting attacked by about 20 or so ghosts just out of nowhere. 1 minute I'm all alone, and the next I'm fighting a wave of ghosts, not zombies. With our brief coming together with death out of the way, we make our way through the mansion, and I get myself stamina up as our free perk, which is huge. However, due to me having to fight for my life, I was completely out of ammo in the LSAT, and I still had the challenge of navigating the maze. With a full round of zombies spawning, I died. Yeah, there's no sugarcoating it, I straight up died. I tried my hardest to survive, even going as far as using the Paralyzer to keep me alive, but it wasn't enough, and we take a round 13 death. Now, I know that I and LMGs can do better than round 13, so I ran it back. Round 3 and we're out of spawn, and I once again didn't think the game was going to give me my gun, but we eventually grab it right before the platform falls. End of round 4 and Jug is bought. We got very lucky with some pretty tasty drops during round 5, and I ended up ending that round with a little over 10,000 points. With this, I grabbed myself Speed Cola, and now it's time to start spinning the box for the hammer. We grab some candy for Leroy, and he locks the box down for us, and we get to work. I end up getting the ray gun like immediately, so thanks for that, I guess. And just because I know someone will say something, I take the guns to speed up the process. I'm lazy, okay? I don't use them, I just take them so I can just spin the box quicker. It's just, I'm lazy. I feel like I'm gonna have to explain that like every time now on. I'm lazy, okay? Round 7, and I decided to get the LSAT Pack-a-Punched early, just in case we had another game where the box just refuses to give me what I want. Of course, I end up getting Mule Kick as my bonus perk as well, which is just wonderful. I won't lie, it then proceeded to take me about 5 minutes to make my way through the maze. Like, I've deadass never been that confused by the buried maze in my life. It's just actually insane. LSAT Pack-a-Punched, and it was finally game on. I did stick by the Pack-a-Punch machine for a few rounds so I could change the sight out, as I honestly hate the target finder sight with this gun so much in zombies. In multiplayer, I'll use it any day. Zombies, yeah, no thanks. Round 10, and I'm back at the box, where I end up getting the M1216 shotgun, which then became my mule kick weapon, and a gun that will now never be leaving my inventory, just to make sure I kept both of my LMGs if I were to go down. The box continues to be a pain in my ass by giving me the ray gun Mark II, again, but after many more spins of the box, on round 14, it finally spits out the one gun I wanted, the hammer, and I was so goddamn happy. Hammer acquired, it was time to Pack-a-Punch it, and during our run to Pack-a-Punch, I also got stamina up, which is always a dub. Round 15, and I was stacked. Pack-a-Punched, LSAT, and hammer. I also managed to get myself a time bomb when I was spinning for the hammer as well, which I won't lie, I was hesitant to use these, as it's basically just a free do-over, and I didn't know if I wanted to actually have unlimited lives, Also, as we're on the topic of the time bomb, by far the coolest thing I think Treyarch have ever added into zombies. Sure, things like the Matryoshka dolls and the Gersh devices are cool, but having a literal ability to rewind time and your actual game is just wild. Honestly, have no idea how it works on an actual technical side of things, but it's pretty damn cool and you can't deny that. Also incredibly busted, and just another thing to add to the list of stuff that makes this map infinitely easier than any other zombies map. The rest of the teen rounds were an absolute doddle, and at the end of round 19, I went and got my final perk, Vulturade. Early into the 20s, I realized running around and trying to train with both of these guns, it just wasn't a great idea. Being LMGs, they obviously make your character run much slower as they're heavy guns, so I basically just hunkered down in the back of the map and just shot everything that moved. This pretty quickly became a pretty dangerous strat, as I wasn't moving much and there are a lot of spawns in the area that I was in, and this is where I decided to start using the time bomb, mainly just as a last case panic button. But then I had an absolute genius idea. One of the most popular high round strats on this map is to stay in the jug hallway with the paralyzer and the subsurface resonator and just farm kills for 100 rounds. I decided to basically copy this strat. Now I couldn't use the paralyzer or the subsurface resonator, but the LMGs were both extremely capable of killing enemies with ease. The one problem was reloading, but having Vulturade and the stink cloud that it produces was pretty much just the main star for this strat. So for the next few rounds, I puckered up and I got to blasting. Both guns thankfully have a pretty nice headshot multiplier, but as all good things, it was just a matter of time before I got overrun and we took it down, and that came on round 36. I had an insta-kill, but I wasn't paying attention to when it had run out, and before I knew it, I had a whole wave charging down on me. The hammer did put in a shift, but unfortunately there was just too many of them and I ended up taking it down. But that's not the worst thing that happens to me this round. We've run through the mansion and we get quick revive back, but on my way back from the mansion, I'm going down the slide to the candy shop and it kills me. Straight up, no idea why or how, but as I land, the game just says F you, I guess, and I wasn't too happy about it. What? Okay. No, we're going back. No. That's some bollocks, that. Yep, I ended up pulling the old rewind time and just thought there is no way you are stealing a quick revive from me. This time on round 36 we make it through mostly unscathed, but then on round 37 we take it down again, and I'd forgotten to actually put down another time bomb, and now it was just a waiting game as to when I went down, and lo and behold, 30 or so seconds after getting revived, I get overwhelmed and I'm down for the count. 37 rounds on the board for LMGs isn't the best in the world, but for the first 2 attempts, it's not awful. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.